Netflix is that they do they shoot the whole season before they release it of the show. They don't shoot like 2 or 3 episodes. There were some shows that they would shoot 2 or 3 episodes before the season started, and then they would play those episodes, and they'd still be shooting the 4th or 5th one. Sometimes they would go to a break in the middle of shooting. Like they'd show like 3 or 4 shows, and then they'd be like, start back on reruns for another month. Be like, what are you doing, man? The season started. There's a mid-season finale. Be like, there's no finale if it's the middle of the season. Okay? Keep shooting. But, yeah, they could just test, I think. I'm pretty sure they could test they could test people for the coronavirus. I think. Pretty sure. But anyway, that's my idea. Maybe it's a ridiculous idea. Maybe people in Hollywood will hear that and be like, what? Dude, come on. Have you thought about the logistics of what you're talking about? No, I haven't, really. I'm just throwing out ideas for y'all to get back to work, and safely test for the coronavirus, and then have everybody who's negative work together on a movie. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. We'll see. So, condolences to Don Shula's family. He is a great coach, and I never knew him personally, but he seemed like a pretty good guy. And he's passed on, so the whole professional football world will be mourning the loss of Don Shula. And I move on. I want to get back to entertainment a little bit. One thing is Harrison Ford seems to be trying to kill himself accidentally, of course, not on purpose, but Harrison Ford has his pilot's license. And he's had trouble landing planes. And that kind of reminds me, somebody help Harrison or get him out of the plane. The guy's like 80 years old or something. He's still flying his own plane. Probably a little small plane, which those little planes don't seem to be the safest bet. You always hear about these celebrities crashing in their little Cessna or their own plane. Just because you can buy your own plane doesn't mean you should buy your own plane. And John Denver and John Kennedy Jr. and so many others that I can't think of right now. But those are two of the more popular, prominent entertainers that lost their life. Or John Denver was an entertainer. John Kennedy Jr. was not an entertainer, but he was probably one of the more popular presidents. He was his son. I think besides Abe Lincoln, John Kennedy was probably the more popular president. So, his son died in a plane crash. He owned his own plane, got a pilot's license, and he flew it to his death. Which, it was just reported in the news that Harrison Ford didn't crash the plane. The first time he did crash the plane, it wasn't a major crash, or he'd probably be dead already. But this is the second time he's had some issues landing the plane. And when it's an 80-year-old man having problems landing the plane, that is, cause for alarm. And Harrison Ford, he's pretty lively. He doesn't seem like the type that just, frivolously out there taking chances on throwing his life away. He was just in a movie, and when he was 75, he done that. His last stint as Han Solo ended up killed off in the Force Awakens. And he was 75 at that time, so. But he said that he wanted to do more action movies. At that time, he said it. He was 75. The other guy is 80, so. Somewhere around there. He might not be exactly 80, but he's very close, or maybe a little bit past it. I don't remember how long ago The Force Awakens, but when they were making it, he said he was 75 by the time it was in theaters, which the thought of a movie being in theaters now seems kind of far-fetched, but back then it was commonplace for movies, especially the big ones opening, to be in theaters all over the country. But anyway, I digress. Harrison Ford, when he was 75, said that he wanted to be in more action movies. Well, first, Harrison, you got to learn to land your plane. If anything, if I was taking lessons, I'd want to just learn how to land a plane. That's it. I just want to learn how to land a plane, in case I'm ever on one and it gets hijacked, or, something happens to the pilots. I can land the plane. So, is there any way you could take lessons just learning how to land the plane? Remember the movie Airplane? It's always landing the plane is the problem. they already got people flying it. You want to just be able to land it if something happens to the pilots. It's always in the movie, something happens to the pilots while the plane is flying, and someone has to land it, or else it's going to crash and kill everybody. That would be me. I want to learn how to land a plane. I don't want to learn how to fly, because flying's dangerous, especially when you get one of these little Cessna jets. You're just going to end up landing it hard, breaking your bones, and tearing up the plane. Harrison Ford has gotten lucky. He had 2 issues landing his plane, and I don't know if he's hurt or if he, it's not in the news that much, so he must not have been hurt too bad at all. But I did see it reported that he had some problems with landing his personal plane again. So, Han Solo, Indiana Jones, Mr. President, stay safe, buddy. Leave the flying to the commercial pilots, and you should learn how to land a plane because it don't seem like you've gotten there yet, but you know, we're gonna go for another break, half a minute, and we'll be right back right after this. Don't go away.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dover. Yummy.
Thank you, young lady. Yummy to you, too. I don't even know what she looks like. Believe that. But, I appreciate it. Anyway, we're back. Welcome back. I was just talking about Harrison Ford because he's had some issues. It was reported that he had a rough go of landing his own personal plane, and that's the second time. The first time he was a little bit more hurt than he apparently was this time, which is good because the guy's 80 years old. Kanye West was reported to be a billionaire last week in Forbes magazine. Said that Kanye West, all his assets and bank accounts added up equals over $1 billion. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I personally don't even believe it. I mean, yes, Kanye West is a big star. Yes, he's been very successful. But he doesn't strike me. It didn't seem like his career was like so successful that he's made $1 billion. Maybe in business, because he also has that clothing line, which has some weird clothes and weird colors to it. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm just guessing. I'm not saying it's a fact or nothing. I didn't do any research. I'm just saying, knowing Kanye or witnessing Kanye's career, I have to say I have a hard time believing he's a billionaire. I'm easily he's a millionaire, but Forbes magazine said totaling their assets, but they might be wrong. They might not know what they're talking about, because they also said that Donald Trump, before he was president, was a billionaire, and then once research was done, they found out that that's not true. That Forbes only said that Donald Trump was a billionaire because he told him he was. He told him he was a billionaire. They took his word for it, because he's pretty rich. I mean, he's was given $400 million by his father when he was 8 years old, or it was put in a trust. He wasn't actually given the money. Like, here's $400 million. Go party. Kick it, my boy. No, that's not what his father did. He put it in a trust fund. And right now, to this day, President, 74 years old, he's just worth over $400 million. So he's not a billionaire. And I only brought that up to say this. Forbes was wrong about President Trump. They took his word for it because they said they were told by President Trump. This was before he was president. Back when he was just Donald Trump.
alleged billionaire, and